नमो हे रामदास नमो नमो. The last song I will be singing is called Bala Gopala Sai Gopal. Bala Gopala Sai Gopala Devaki Nandana Gopala Bala Gopala Sai Gopala Devaki Nandana Gopala Vasudeva Nandana Gopala Yashoda Nandana Gopala Vasudeva Nandana Gopala Yashoda Nandana Gopala Nanda Gopala Ananda Gopala Sai Gopala Sai Gopala Nanda Gopala Ananda Gopala Sai Gopala Sai Gopala Bala Gopala Sai Gopala Devaki Nandana Gopala Devaki Nandana Gopala. Thank you.
Thank you, Arav. You and Kaveri sang with such devotion, so thank you for that. Everyone will notice in their chat box a link to the Bhagavatam invocation and the Krishna Arati, as well as the seventh canto shlokas. We had a wonderful introduction to Bhagavatam by Swami Sarveshanandaji, and ask him to continue to regale us with Prahalad Charitam.
Hari Om. Thank you, Kaveri and Arav, for leading us with the bhajans. Let's begin with 3 Oms, Sahana Vavatu, Guru Brahma, and the invocation shlokas of Bhagavat Mahapurana. Can you all hear me clearly? Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Satchidanandarupaya Vishvotpatyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Yam Pravrajantamanupetamakrityam द्वैपायनो विरह कातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयः यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमः निर्मत्सराणां सताम् वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदम् तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलम् शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतम् पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम् मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। Bhagavatam is the stories about Bhagwan and Bhagwan's devotees. One is sweetness incarnate and the other one is sweeter than the sweetest. And as we saw yesterday, what is one best method to improve our devotion quotient? Yad Bhagavata Mahatmyam, the very Mahatmya, the very effect of Bhagavata Shravana is Bhagavat Bhakti Vardhanam. This we saw in the first chapter, 4th shloka. Bhakti Vardhanam. The one who intensely listens to this Bhagavata Shastra, Bhakti definitely grows multifold. What is the take of this whole 15 chapters of 7th canto? That we got to hear yesterday itself in the very beginning, first chapter, in Naradji's own words. Wait a second. Bhagavata is supposed to be the story narrated between Shukadev Maharaj and Parikshita. Where did Narada come in? Oh, Naradji had a dialogue with Yudhishthira. Huh? Where did Yudhishthira come in? Parikshit asked a question, and in order to answer that question, Naradji said, "Hey Parikshita, the similar kind of question about Bhagwan's benevolence was asked by your own grandfather, Yudhishthira. When did he ask this? He asked this during the particular Rajasuya Yaga that was being performed, and there his own cousin, Bhagwan Krishna's cousin, Shishupala and Dantavakra could not stand the glory that Bhagwan Krishna was receiving. And out of hatred, they were intensely abusing Bhagwan. And they crossed the limit of 100th mark of abuses that can be thrown at Bhagwan, and Bhagwan gave them a touch of his Sudarshana. What is Sudarshana? Darshana of that Bhagwan in its completeness, comprehensive entirety. So that was, and as soon as that Sudarshana touched these Shishupala Dantavakra, they were, that Jivatma completely merged into Bhagwan. And it happened right in front of the entire Sabha. Yudhishthira was watching it. And he said, something doesn't fit right here. Why? That which they got is called Sayujya, merging with Bhagwan, and great tapasvis get it. How can this kind of wretched fellows with foul mouth, they get such? Then Naradji happened to be right around. He was also an invitee. It's good to invite such great people that immediately your questions are answered. So he turned to Narad Bhagwan and said, Bhagwan, you are the best person to answer this. How can this happen? So Naradji said, this is where we ended yesterday. He says, Kamadveshad bhayat snehat yatha bhaktyeshware manaha aveshat adagham hitva bahavas tadgatim gataha. In the 29th shloka. Hopefully, you have downloaded, what was it? Dropbox. Okay. From the Dropbox, I tried sending it in 4 different languages. So you have English transliterated, Sanskritam, then you have Telugu and Tamil, I think. Because yesterday I went through the names and the last names. So I saw predominantly Telugu and Tamil. I said, let me cover that.
Thank you, Swami. The link that we provided to everyone contains individual links to all languages.
Okay, good. So there you go. So now you have the ease to read it with. It is the 29th shloka of the first chapter that I just covered. On the side, when Vishala Amma had asked me what should be the book that they should follow, the listeners, I had said the best book, which is Puja Guruji's Bhagavata. And I may not be going in the same pace, but this platform is to generate enough interest that when you want to fall back on and to do more study, you have a good work and nothing to beat, especially Bhakti Grantha by our Puja Guruji. So you can read it throughout the day, those chapters that we have covered, and then come ready for the discourse. So we just covered the 29th shloka. Kamat dveshat bhayat snehat yatha bhakti ishware manaha. You can invoke that bhakti and it would be considered by that Ishvara as bhakti, whether it is invoked through kama, dvesha, bhaya or sneha. Therefore, the last shloka that we saw yesterday was Tasmat kenapi upayena manaha krishne niveshayet. Whatever it takes to take the name of Bhagavan and repeat that incessantly. Kenapi bhavena. Kenapi upayena. Any upaya is fine. But the ultimate result should be that incessantly there is Bhagavan Namasmarana happening on our Jihva. Why is that necessary? Once I was with a great Mahatma in Kashi, Banaras, and he said, very beautiful thing. Whenever we take the name of Bhagavan, whoever you are intending to call is immaterial. But at that moment when you are taking the name of Bhagavan, Bhagavan is taking avatara on your jihva as the nama. That is called nama avatar. Therefore, many masters have said, hey jihve, oh dear tongue, don't keep wagging around talking about all nonsense, but just smara, anusmara, think and constantly repeat that Bhagavan's name alone. And many people say, but it is feeling very mechanical. My answer is, there are days when you eat food because you have to catch up with the next. And my life on Saturday, Sundays is like that. Back-to-back sessions. I have just enough gap to upload, swaha and then aha. I don't even get an opportunity to say aha there. It's just upload. Very mechanically it goes in. Just because it is mechanical, do you stop eating? No, it has to sustain you. Similarly, there are days when you feel that it is mechanical. That doesn't mean you stop. Even if it is mechanical, chant the name of the Lord. Bhagavan, sorry, thoda mechanical hai. Adjust please. But I'm repeating your name. Very, very adjusting nature, our Bhagavan. But the point is that every individual who wants to grow into this path has to make it a habit that incessantly we take that Bhagavan's name. Whether we are sitting, standing up, as age catches up, you catch hold of your different limbs and say, Amma. Instead, just say Narayana and get up. You sneeze or cough. See, we come into this country and we have picked up that vocabulary, that system. There are people, when I sneeze, everybody around and everything around has to have a trembling effect. And that is how it is. I can never bring myself to do and say that was sneeze. No, it has to be like my cranium has to shake inside the head. So when people, I see that when you sneeze, they have not even finished sneezing. The habit that they have formed is Narayana. No, not Narayana. Excuse me. If you have made it a habit and learned to say excuse me, Narayana also can be accommodated. First to say Narayana, and then if you want, say anything else. Excuse me, excuse you, whoever, whatever. Anything that we are engaging in constantly, that should be there. If I were to rewrite this shloka, no, not that I will. If I were to rewrite this shloka, Kamat, Dveshat, Bhayat, Snehat, mechanical atva. Even if it were mechanical, chant the name of the Lord. Bhagavan's name, Anusmara. Smara Nityam Anusmara. Why? Manaha Krishne Niveshayet. Our mind should abide on that Ishvara. Whoever is the beloved form of you are thinking, think of that Bhagavan. And that has to be made as a practice. Thus, Naradji is saying, Matrashvaseyo, Dantavakra and Shishupala were his, in Hindi there's a Mausere Bhai. So they were his cousins. They were done with by Bhagavan Krishna, and they both merged and they got released from Shapa, from Vaikuntha. This is what Naradji ends with. Vishnor Viprashapat Padachyutau. They fell from that Achyuta Pada, Vaikuntha. They fell down from, why? There was some Shapa. Now that caught Yudhishthira's attention. Like a keen, sincere, childlike, like, how you're telling a story to a child and the child, I know, but how eagerly they come up with Yudhishthira also immediately, Naraji, but what happened? So Yudhishthira says, that is where we start today. Yudhishthira uvacha कीदृशः कस्य वाशापः हरिदासाभिमर्शनः अश्रद्धेय इवा भाति हरेरेकान्तिनां भवः देहेन्द्रियासुहीनानां वैकुण्ठपुरवासिनां देहसम्बन्धं ये तदाख्यातुमर्हसि. Hey Naradji, Vaikuntha is Achyuta Pada. It is an unshakable position that they have reached. Having reached there, how can they be ever be cursed by somebody? How can they lose that position? Because many of us think, going to Vaikuntha, my life is done. Therefore, when we read Vedanta Shastra, we say, nothing is permanent other than moksha. Even those who have reached to the Vaikuntha Pada, there can be Chuti. You can fall from there. It is not a guaranteed position. So Yudhishthira is asking that. I thought it was a guaranteed position. A permanent seat. Okay, Vaikuntha पहुंच गए एकदम बस मजे में. No, there also there is no permanency. They fell from there. How can this be possible? And who gave them Shapa in Vaikuntha? Right under the nose of Bhagavan. Somebody that powerful that even Bhagavan could not stop their Shapa? This is unheard of. Please, can you narrate me that story, that part of? Can we get into that details? So Naradji must have been Vismita. Because Naradji, whenever he gets an opportunity to speak about Bhagavan, he is the most happiest. Like, how we hear about Hanumanji, as Ara was saying, that Hanumanji is also a great devotee like Prahlada. So whenever in Tulsidas ji says in Hanuman Chalisa that Mother Sita, Sita ji loved Hanumanji's seva and she gave Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi Ke Data Asubaradina Janaki Mata. And having received Ashta Siddhi and Navanidhi, Hanumanji looked at mother and looked at Mother, what have you given me? What do I do with this? He was not very happy. And looking at his predicament, and mother said, Ram Rasayana Tumare Pasa Sada Raho Raghupati Ke Dasa. He said, thank you. Ham Truptosmi. Why? You have blessed me that Sada Raho Raghupati Ke Dasa. Nothing more than that. So similarly, Naradji, whenever he gets an opportunity to connect himself or anyone else to that Bhagavan, he is the most happiest. He said, thank you. Beautiful question. Now let me get into the story, Naradji says. And he says, Ekada Brahmana Putraha Vishnu Lokam Yadachaya Sananda Nadayo Jagmuhu Charanto Bhuvanatrayam. Sanat Kumaras, the four Manasa Putras of Brahmaji, they're the firstborn. Naradji was born later. Naradji's older brothers were these Sanat Kumaras. And these were constantly in Nivritti Marga. Brahmaji first, created these four. They were born and they said, Dad, we ain't interested in creation. You have to go figure that out for yourself. We are interested in connecting with Bhagavan. Please excuse us. And they left. Then came Naradji. And Naradji saw his older brothers, and then he looked at Brahmaji and said, por favor, sorry, I also love that path. And he also left along with them. Then Brahmaji must have rolled his eyes and said, what is happening here? I'm trying to create and these fellows are going out. They're taking a free pass. Then let me try again, 10,000 sons. And Naradji, right in the beginning of the creation, Brahmaji asked these 10,000 sons to go do, tapas on Saraswati Nadi Tira. Naradji came and said, look, the best is nivritti, withdrawing from everything and establishing yourself in that supreme. Okay. Don't have to take my word for it. Look at our older brothers, those 4 Sanat Kumaras. They are reveling. Don't you want to be there? At 10,000 also gone. Now Brahmaji said, Ab kya karunga main? What should I do? Then he created 10,000 girls. And they did tapas, came back, got married, and that is how the lineages began. So on a side note, लड़के हमेशा ऐसे ही होते हैं. लड़की काम की होती है. It is starting from the beginning of creation, that is how it is. So these Sanat Kumaras, as soon as they were born, they would be in this tapas. And they, being the first ones born, they were given some access routing that they could visit anywhere in these 14 worlds unhindered. They had the first diplomatic immunity. No visa, no paperwork, nothing. Unhindered, they can get in and get out through any loka, anytime. So they were Jagmuhu Charantaha Bhuvanatrayam. They were going. And one day they arrived in Vaikuntha. As they were arriving into Vaikuntha, there were these 2 Parshadas. And their names were Jaya and Vijaya. And what did they do? They said, these little kids. And how are they? Digvasaha Shishun Matva. They are like small kids. They're not even wearing proper clothing, proper attire, coming into Vaikuntha just like that. It happens many times. One day I was flying out somewhere, and sometimes, the airlines throws you a perk, and I was upgraded to first class. So I was standing in line, minding my own business. And this lady standing behind me, she says, excuse me, this is for the first class. Then I had to turn around and said, yes, it is. Why don't you go into your class? I said, I'm not somebody who is going to back off and feel bad. I said, ja, tu apni aukad mein reh. Looking at the clothes, sometimes they take you for granted. So these Jai Vijay also thought they don't have proper attire, they don't have proper clothing, they're looking like kids. And I said, stop. You are not allowed. There is a dress code. There is an attire that you have to. You're coming to Vaikuntha, Bhagavan Vishnu, and you're coming just like this. Digambara. Chi. Go. And these 4 stood there and looked at her and said, new to the job, huh? You are not qualified to be Bhagavan Vishnu's Parshadas. Why? You have to be of the most alert sattvic nature. And this not recognizing is of a tamasic quality. And it doesn't suit this Vaikuntha environment. I don't know what you did punya to reach here, but definitely you are downgradable worthy. And immediately the Sanat Kumaras revoked their license to be in Vaikuntha. And said, because you have this tamasic nature, the kind of janma that can suit you is Asura Yoni. Go back to Asura Yoni. Here he says, Bhagavan Swayam came running. He said, "O Sanat Kumaras, you're sending them, but it brings a questionable pointer towards me being their boss. At least for my sake." Look at Bhagavan. For the sake of his own sentinels, Jaya Vijaya, he was begging of these four Sanat Kumaras, saying, you have said that they have to be stuck in that Asura Yoni for eternity. Can you please some leeway, some elbow room? Looking at Bhagavan himself requesting, meaning what? Once Bhagavan has taken hold of you, even if you want to go away, he is not going to give up. He stood advocating for them. My responsibility. Can you please reduce it? I said, okay, fine. 3 janmas. And then he turned to Jaya Vijaya. Now go experience that. It is my responsibility to bring you back. Look at that. That Bhagavan Swayam, once he has taken complete, he is not going to abandon. You've been given shapa, okay, I will also come and retrieve you back. So such. Jaya Vijaya, what happened to them? Jignyate taudite putrau daitya danava vanditau Hiranyakashipur pujyeshtaha Hiranyaksho anujo tataha. They were born first as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Though they were twins. The first one to come out of Diti's womb was Hiranyaksha. He is considered as the second born. Because the first one who is yet to come, it is not that when he is arriving onto this earth, but when was he conceived? Must have been conceived before this first fellow who comes out. Therefore, he is called the older one. So, Hiranyakashipu Jeshtaha, he is the older one, and Hiranyakshaha Anujaha Tata. So, 2 sons were born to Diti. Hato Hiranyakashipuhu Harina Simharupina Hiranyaksho Dharo Dhare Bhibrata Saukaram Vapuhu. And they both did their own atrocities, and Hiranyakashipu was killed in Narasimhavatara. Before that, Hiranyaksha was killed in the Saukaram Vapuhu, Sukara Avatara. Sukara Avatara is not a Gujarati word there. Sukara here means in the Varaha Avatara. Saukaram Vapuhu. Hiranyakashipuhu putram prahladam keshavam priyam jigham sura karaon nana yatana mrityu hetave. And Hiranyakashipu, look at the names also. The names indicate the best of capitalistic mindset. That is what the names indicate. Swamiji, that is a little stretch. How do you say that they are heights of capitalistic mindset? One fellow's name is Hiranyakashipu. The other fellow's name is Hiranyaksha. Hiranya means what? Gold, wealth. So the younger one, Hiranyaksha, saw a possibility of wealth everywhere. Wherever he found an opportunity for wealth, he would usurp that, aggrandize it, and own it. And his older brother was one step ahead. He not only knew how to grab it, but also revel and enjoy in it. Kashipu, the one who would sleep in wealth, indulge in wealth. Such were these two mindsets. And that Hiranyakashipu did not like his own son Prahlada, and he gave him lot of yatana, lot of torture. And that Bhagavan, Sarva Bhutatma Bhutam Tam Prashantam Samadarshanam Bhagavat Tejasa Sprushtam. Now, that Prahlada was touched by a great satsanga, that as he was born with that divine connection, with lot of devotion to that Bhagavan, and he was protected by that Bhagavan in that Narsimha avatar. And then he says, Tatastau Rakshasau Jatau Keshinyam Vishravasutau Ravana Kumbhakarnascha Sarvaloka Patapanau. Then, after being released from Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha Deha, they were born as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, the sons of Kekasi, and they did their own set of atrocities. Sarva Loka Upatapanau. They were creating lot of tapa, terrible consequences to the people of this world. Then, Tatrapi Raghavo Bhutva. Then he came in the form of avatar of Raghava, Bhagavan Sri Ramchandraji. Ramavidyam Shrosyasitvam. And he says, don't ask me about Rama avatar here. You will get an opportunity when you meet Markandeya Rishi, then you ask him the questions and he will reveal this aspect of story. Let's not get into that now. Naraji, knowing very well Yudhishthira and his keenness, he says, Acha, ye bhi hai? So, tell me that story also. He says, no, that is Markandeya. You go and ask him there. My job description today is to tell you this part of story. He says, Ramaviryam Shrosyasitvam Markandeya Mukhat Prabho. Hey Yudhishthira, you will hear it from Markandeya Rishi personally about how Bhagavan Sri Ramchandraji took care of Ravana Kumbhakarna. Taveva, those very two were born in this time. He is talking to Yudhishthira. In this time, Taveva Kshatriyo Jatau. They were born as these two Kshatriyas, and you have seen Adhuna Shapa Nirmuktau Krishna Chakra Hatam Hasau. And those two were now today released from the Shapa totally. And therefore they got merged back into Bhagavan. Vairānubandhati vrena dhyane nachuta satmatam nitau punarharef parshva jagmatuf vishna parshadau. Now, though they were having a lot of vaira bhava, lot of enmity towards Bhagavan, but in that intensity of having shatrutva with Bhagavan, they were constantly meditating on Bhagavan. Any opportunity that they would get, they would criticize Bhagavan. See, it is not like some passing comment. Intensely dvesha. 100% uncorrupted, undiluted dvesha. So, when I was telling this story in Balavihar, and one kid said, oh, that means I can hate Bhagavan and still get moksha. I said, yes. But the path that you take through dvesha is very painful. If moksha is an ultimate state of happiness, then why should the path not be happy as well? Yes, dvesha can take you, krodha can take you there, but you need to invest a lot, and the return of it immediately will be a lot of misery. And the kid said, misery means unhappiness. I said, yes. Then I don't want. I said, good. Otherwise, after hearing this story, I said, moral of the story is, I am going to hate Bhagwan. I said, "Oh, that would be a wrong conclusion." So finally, he concluded that yes, bhakti would be better than dvesha or krodha. Now Yudhishthira got stuck in a different aspect. He said, Naraji, vidvesho dayite putre katham asin mahatmani. If you say Prahlada was such a great noble one, how can somebody have hatred towards such a great noble one? And that to your own son, how can you have dvesha? See, when you look at even Dhritarashtra, he knew his sons were useless. But then his prema for his own, he could not, I mean, of course, literally he could not see ever, but he could not get past that attachment towards his own son. How could this Hiranyakashipu not have attachment and give torturous situation to his Prahlada? And how did this Prahlada develop such beautiful devotion to Bhagavan right from that young age? I want to know how to develop that kind of bhakti. Can you please narrate this part of the story of Prahlada? So that is how this whole chapter enters into Prahlada Charita. So in the second chapter, Bhagavan Naradji begins with Prahlada Charita. Narada Uvacha. So Naradji now begins with Prahlada Charita. Bhrataryevam vinihate harina krodhamurtina Hiranyakashipu Rajan Paryataptadrisha Sucha. So he starts that aspect of the story with Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, where Hiranyaksha was killed by Varaha Avatara, that Bhagavan in Varaha Avatara. So he's starting from there. He's not going into the detail as to how Hiranyaksha was killed, because the main part of the story is Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada. So director's cut. So where is he going? Pura, those circles that they draw in Indian movies, old black and white movies. So like that. That when Hiranyaksha was killed, this Hiranyakashipu was very, very agitated. Ahachedam rushaghrunaha sandashta chanachadaha kopajvaladbhyam chakshurbyam nirikshan dhumamabhravam dhumra mambaram. His eyes were red. Body was shivering in anger. He was biting his lips in anger. And he called his entourage of people. Who are they? The whole list is given, okay? Dvimurdha, he had 2 foreheads. One forehead itself, so much of confusion to handle. Poor fellow had 2 foreheads. Confusion, oh confusion. So Dvimurdha, Trakshaha, Shambara, Shatabahu, Hayagriva, Nimucha, Paka, Ilvala, Puloma, Shakuna, all these Daitya Dhanavas, he called them. Bho Dhanava Daitya, and all of these people assembled. He said, this Vishnu is like a child. I am not making it up. Okay? This is what Hiranyakashipu said to them. Watch the 7th shloka, last line. Balasyeva sthiratmanaha. He is like a child's mind. If somebody gives you something and you get attracted to it and you are praised a little bit, and whoever praises, he listens to them. These people, these sadhu, these sajjana, these rishi, muni, they have praised this Vishnu, though he is usually very balanced person, but he got swayed because of those prayers, and he, on behalf of those people praying, took the vengeance on my brother. He killed my brother. Therefore, what should you do? They said, we are asuras. Our job is to torture. It is like a supply chain sequence. If there are no such people praying to Vishnu, then that means he will not be swayed. Therefore, let us eliminate these people. Remove the cause, there will be no effect. So what should we do? Yatra yatra dvija gavaha veda varnashrama kriyaha tam tam janapadam yata sandipayata vrishchata. Wherever there are learned scholars and gurukulas, go destroy them. So whoever has destroyed such gurukulas, who are they? Today history books may call them as Akbar the Great. What was his greatness? Gurukulas were destroyed by him, Asura. What was that movie? Jodha Akbar. What a depiction. What was he essentially? Asura. Yatra yatra dvijaha. Wherever learned scholars, they were having gurukulas, he destroyed them. Takshashila, Nalanda. So asuras are not somebody who have horns on their head and bad eyebrows and bad hair and crooked teeth and he coming on, and they are asuras. They are just like you and me. What consequences they create? So what did they do? Dvijaha. Gavaha killed the cows. Cow slaughter. It is considered as one of the greatest sins. To kill a cow or to partake in anything to do with that cow and its meat and its... I don't want to go into that detail. Veda varnashrama kriyaha. Wherever there are these varnashramas and Veda kriyas, go destroy all of such people who are following dharmic way of life. Tam tam janapadam yata sandipayata vrishchata. You just uproot them thoroughly. But let us first finish up with the last rites of my brother. Now, once they got the indication, as soon as they got the directions from their Raja, what did they do? Puragrama vrajodyodan udyana kshetra ramashrama karan khetaka vata ghoshanscha dadahu pattanani cha. They went and destroyed village after village, town after town, beautiful houses, ashrams, udyana, gardens. They just kept destroying anything that these people would. Why did you destroy the beautiful garden? Because those flowers were being taken to worship that Bhagavan, which is Vishnu, and therefore the flower garden was also destroyed. The ghee which is taken from the cows and that ghee is offered, and the cow is also killed. Their houses were burnt. As they were tasked into that particular direction, Hiranyakashipu came back into his palace. And what did he see? He saw his own mother Diti and Hiranyaksha's wife Rishabhanu. Tan mataram Rishabhanum Ditim cha jananim gira shlakshanaya deshakalagnaha idamaha Janeshwara. So he sat them both down. He knew that they were both very hurt. They were in immense misery. So he sat them down. Now the next, from the 20th shloka, all the way till the end, 60th shloka, 40 shlokas wherever Hiranyakashipu Vacha is given, remove that and read those shlokas, you will say this is close to Bhagavad Gita. Meaning, he was not a fool. Hiranyakashipu knew Vedanta Shastra. In fact, let me go to the direct. Let me bring your attention to 61st shloka. Let's do that first. Iti daityapater vakyam ditira karnyas sashnusha putra shokam kshanaya tyaktva tatve chittama dharayat. Both Rishabhanu and Diti, as soon as they heard these 40 shlokas from Hiranyakashipu, kshanaya, within moments, they gave up all that misery of attachment and composed their minds, started meditating on Paramatma Chintana. He had an immediate effect that two people were removed from misery and started doing sadhana. And that is what probably Adi Shankaracharya ji means. Vadantu shastrani yajantu devan. People like Hiranyakashipu are somebody who can speak well on Vedanta Tattva. But it is only as an advice to others. But when it came to self-application, in the next chapter we'll see, completely devoid of all that which he spoke to his mother and his sister-in-law. Meaning, if somebody was speaking a great deal, beautiful oratory, refers to the scriptures left, right, center. You know, this is from that Upanishad, this is from this sutra, that bhashya. But ends up not practicing in their own life. Those who are doing paravachana, vachana only for others, and it is not reflecting in their own life, they are no better than Hiranyakashipu. Now you will see the proof. 22nd shloka. Nitya Atma Avyaya Shuddha. क्या बोल रहा है देखो. What is Atma Tattva? It is Nitya Vastu. Avyaya Vastu, cannot be killed. Sarvagaha Sarvavitparaha. Dhatte Savatmanaha Lingam Mayaya Visujan Gunan. That Atma giving up this Sharira, the Sharira has gone dead. Atma is Avyaya. Atma cannot be killed. Baapre. He nailed it. Vedanta Tattva is like second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan says that Atma cannot be killed. Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam. He says, it's like similar. Nityaha Atma Avyaya Shuddhaha Sarvagaha Sarvavitparaha. And then says, those who are attached to this physical aspect of the body, the linga, and the sukshma sharira, those who are attached to it and that expression, they will have shoka because of that moha. He knew exactly what was the karana for shoka, which is called moha. Moha to what? Moha to this deha, mana, buddhi, indriya as my identity and attachment. Those who consider this, they are causing themselves shoka. And you are not only attached because of your attachment, you are extending this attachment to your husband. Therefore, you are miserable. That who was empowering and enlivening and expressing as Hiranyaksha, that Atma Chaitanya is Ajara Amara. There is no birth, there is no death. You are attached to this body, and that body is now jada, it is done with. Therefore, your attachment is bothering you, not the Atma Tattva, which is ever eternal. In Tamil, we would have said, Adappavi. Man, you know this much stuff, man. See, knowing is not just enough. Knowing has to translate, the data has to translate into wisdom. Knowing has to transform us into being. When the Upanishad says, know thyself, yeah, I know, Satchidananda, Atma kaha, Satchidananda Swarupaha, Sat kim, Trikala Abhadita Vastu, Chit kim, Jnana Swarupaha, Anandaha, Sukha Swarupaha, definition, nailed it. Data. Now that data has to transform into wisdom, and if it doesn't happen, however beautiful you are, a Vakta, Prokta, whatever you may be called, you may have a fan following, you may have a great deal of niche field that you have created. Aha, oho, you are a great, and red carpet welcome and everything, fine. But if it is not practiced, then nothing better than Hiranyakashipu. In fact, who is an asura? Asusu ramante iti asuraha. Those whose main criteria of living being is to indulge in indriya bhoga, or in the sukha of being in a prominent position, being in a famous position. Such was Hiranyakashipu. And the way he is covering, he says, and the oratory is so beautiful, still seeing his mother and sister-in-law, weep and cry. He says, you know what happened? Once, way back in history, 27th shloka, Atrapi udaharaha itihasam puratanam yamasya preta bandhunam samvadam tam nibodhata. Let me tell you this itihasa that happened, where Bhagwan Yamaraj himself came down to give them this advice. That piece of knowledge I am sharing with you. Now listen carefully, he says. What an oratory skill. He is not only giving Shastra, but also a incident where this knowledge was given by Yamaraja himself. That's why I said, remove Hiranyakashipu Vacha. It is like Vedanta Sara. So there was this Raja, his name was Suyagnya. And he was ruling very, very righteously. Along with his wife's children, he had a beautiful palace. His kingdom was flourishing. There were some enemies. They trapped him in a situation and collectively killed him. That Suyagnya was killed. And how was he? In the 29th and 30th, there is a very detailed, gory description of how he was killed. If you're interested, go read those two shlokas. Very graphic description given. He was very brutally killed. As soon as his wives came to hear this, they came running. And they were beating their chest and crying and weeping. And and they were not allowing that dead body to be cremated. It is already appearing to be evening. Because before evening happens, you have to do the cremation, the quickest. So when they were not allowing this to happen, Yamarajji jumps into picture. Yamarajji himself came. Tatraha preta bandhunam ashritya paridevitam ahatan balako bhutva yamasvayam upagataha. 36th shloka. Yamaha swayam upagataha. He came in, but he took a disguise. Balakaha bhutva. He came as a young Vatu. And he spoke to this Raja Bandhu, all the family of this Raja Suyagnya. And this is a very beautiful portion. And unfortunately, it is literally devil quoting scripture. Literally. So what did Yama say? Yama Dharmaraja says, 38th sloka, Aho vayam dhanyatamaya datra tyakta pitrubhyam na vichintayamaha abhakshamana abhala vikrita vrikadibihi sarakshita rakshita rakshati yohi garbhe. Please mark those two lines. Beautiful lines. Abhakshamana abhala vrikadibihi sarakshita rakshati yohi garbhe. You are thinking you and I protect everyone and provide security for everyone? That who protected each one of us when we were immobile, uselessly lying in mother's womb. He provided food, security and everything. Sarakshita rakshati yohi garbhe. When we were in Garbha, that who provided this sense of security, that who took care of you. Do you think he will not take care of you once you are born? What a beautiful standpoint. Because we want ourselves to be taken care in a certain module of our liking, therefore there is a lot of turbulence. But Bhagavan Swayam has already taken care of you in the most precarious condition. And he has provided for you right there. And now that you are born, do you think he will not take care? So the entire care and those who have to come, those who have to go, all of this, that Ishvara alone is taking care. And you say that that Suyagnya is dead. That which you are attached to is lying right in front of you. That Suyagnya you are saying, that is only a body. But when you say he has left, that means it is not this body. So you yourself in your own crying are claiming that there is someone. That someone is that Atma Chaitanya which can never be killed. Therefore, let this body be cremated. Let this body be done with. Otherwise, even if you are sitting here crying for next 1,000 years, you will not get this Suyagnya back. This prarabdha is done. Who is telling this? Yamarajji. Who is quoting Yamarajji? Hiranyakashipu. And listening to this Hiranyakashipu's vrittanta, Bala eva pravadati sarve vismita chetasaha jnatayo menire sarvam anityam yathotitham. In the 58th sloka, he is saying, it's only a childish mindset who will cry. Bala eva pravadati. Bala, a childish mindset. Meaning somebody who does not have maturity, only such mindset will cry over what? That which is perishable, that which is destructible, that which can be destroyed. Knowing that it can be destroyed and it got destroyed, thinking and imagining that it should not have been and it should continue, only an immature mindset will ask for it. Therefore, like the relatives and the Rajabandhu of that Suyagna, do not spend your time crying for that prarabdha of that Atma who was here in this body is done. The best is to wrap yourself up and move forward. If only this much portion of story was Hiranyakashipu, the rest of the story was not there, we would have had Hiranyakashipu temples all over the place. Arey Mahatma tha yaar. What amazing Vedanta he is giving. Rishitulya must have had a Gurukula somewhere. Rishitulya. And what was the impact of it? If you see the impact of it, which is another criteria, right? Maybe a bad person, but at least he had a good impact on people. Why? What was the good impact on people? Both his sister-in-law and mother immediately. Iti daityapater vakyam ditira karnya sasnusha putra shokam kshana tyaktva. Immediately she got that balance, equanimity, and pulled herself up. Tatve chitta samadha chittam adharayat. She composed herself and started meditating on that Paramatma. Arre baapre. So we may be very proficient, we may know all this knowledge, but what actually matters is what do we end up doing with that knowledge. After giving such a profound discourse to his Swajana, what did this fellow do? Immediately. Now he saw that they were now withdrawing from their miserable situation. They had gotten some grip and he turned around. He turned around and said, Kuch to karna padega. I have to do something now. So what did he plan? In the 3rd chapter, Narada Uvacha. Hiranyakashipu Rajan Ajeya Ajaramamam Atmanam Pratidvandam Ekarajam Vyadhitsata Satepe Mandaradronyam Tapah Darunam Urdvabahur Nabho Drishtihi Padangushta Shritavanihi. So he went to this particular place which is near Mandarachala, Drona Parvata, somewhere in between that, he chose a spot. Tapaha Parama Darunam. Very terrifying tapas. Very few people can do such tapas. So now you saw the Vedanta and now you see the tapas. Right? And if he were there in today's world, he would have had a fan following. Such a great Mahatma. Because tapas he is doing and he has such Vedanta knowledge. But what was the tapas for? That should be understood. And how did he do his tapas? Urdhva Bahun. He had his hands up. And Nabho Drishtihi. He put the ekagrata of his mind, of his vision, he brought it to the center and from there into the space without being shaken. And Pada Angushta Ashritavanihi. He was standing on the tip of his toes. And if he were today in this world, he could have become a good ballet dancer. So he was standing on the tip of his toes, hands raised, head above, and praying for not one day or two, not for few hours, for months together in that position. Jatadi dhiti reje samvartaka ivam shubhihi tasmin tapastapyamane devasthanani bhejire tasya murdhas sambhutaha sadhumognistapomayah tiryag urdhvam adolokan atapadvishagiritaha. Now, all this kind of bhikara tapas that he was doing, that from his body, the jata, the hair that had grown, had become like arrows, like, and his body had become thin. There was an ant hill that got developed, and from there was tapa urja. With the tapa shakti, there was a dhuma, there was smoke that was coming out. That was the intensity with which he was doing his tapas, and that smoke filled the upper world, the lower world, and this world. Now one should ask, what was he doing this tapas for? So in the first shloka he says, they can kill me, Vishnu can kill me only if I am someone vulnerable. Let me do tapas to that creator himself and seek the blessing of never to be killed. And once I get that, then I'll take care of Vishnu. Now, after having given such great Vedanta, what is he going to do tapas for? To find permanency of this body, mind and intellect. How do we stay eternally unimpacted by anything? I think that kind of search has been there right since his time. How to stay eternally young. Cream lagao. You know that the name misses my memory right now. Neutrogena, Olay, all their products. They say you apply it and you look 5 years younger. I have a question about that. Because if that product really worked, I would have believed when you launched it 25 years ago, the same model you advertise today also saying, see, even after 25 years, the same chamak. But sadly, they keep changing the model every 6 months. And nobody questions that. They fall for it and the science and everything, what is it trying to find? How to beat this death so that I am not incapacitated in one corner. Knee problem, knee replaced. Hip problem, replaced. Blub problem, put a pacemaker. Shoulder replaced. And that also replaceable. My uncle used to have a cycle and he used to have tall claims on it. This is a cycle which my great-grandfather used. I said, are they the same tires? No. Is it the same rim? No. Is the same spokes? No. Is the same chain? No. Same pedals? No. Seat? No. Brakes? No. Then what is it that is left that you are saying that you are continuing? The same thing continuing. We have replaced all these and still continuing. after having this much of knowledge, doing this tivra tapas for what? He himself has said, right? Balayeva pravadati sarve vismita chetasaha jnatayo menire sarvam anityam ayatha utthitam. All of this which is temporary, to consider that to remain as permanent is only an immature mind. He himself says it. And what does he go and do tapas for? Bhagwan, let this body, mind and intellect of mine, let that be eternal. Let that not be killed. Let that not be touched by death. Knowledge that he imparted points at something else. And what he ends up doing is something else altogether. The one who is trying to find permanency through this materialistic world as a support system is called Asura. Now, all these devas and everyone, they started getting smoked out because this tapas, the smoke reached to the other world also. So they all ran to Brahmaji. Tena tapta divam tyaktva brahmalokam yayusuraha dhatre vignapayama asurdeva deva jagatpate. Bhaiya, Brahmaji, that fellow is doing terrible tapas and the smoke is covering everything. We can't even breathe properly. Do something, please. Daitendriya tapasa tapta divisthatum na shaknumaha. We are not able to stand. We are not able to sit. It is bothering us. So said the devas. Tasyayam kila sankalpaha charato dushcharam tapaha shruyatam kim na viditaha tavathapi niveditaha srishtva characharamidam tapo yoga samadhina adhyaste sarvadhishnebhyaha parameshthi nijasanam. Now Brahmaji said, you all know why he is doing tapas. He wants to find permanency through that body that he is living in. And I, as a creator, cannot bless him to go against the creation, against the nature's law. So therefore, I am in a fix. I'm still thinking. Now Brahmaji's thinking is very powerful, huh? Why? He has 4 heads, quad processor. He has been thinking, I said, how do I go bless this fellow when I know what he is asking? And that cannot be given. It goes contrary to the nature's law. So I've been thinking about it as to how do I go and bless this fellow. So they all said, why don't you go with the Saptarishis? Let them be at the back of you and let them guide you how to bless once you go there. It is like the CPA team. If there is any CPA, please maaf karna, sorry. What is their job? CPA is the same thing like what is in India, CA and ICWA, same thing, right? Huh. Just to know that I am talking of the same intended effect. So what do CPS do? Whenever there is a government regulation brought in, what is their job? Not only to understand what the regulation is, but to find the loopholes so that they can serve their clientele. Right? So Saptarishi said, don't worry, Brahmaji, we got your back. So Brahmaji, along with Saptarishis, they go down and bless this Hiranyakashipu. Brahmovacha, 17th shloka. Uttishthottishth bhadrante tapasiddhosi kashyapa varadoha manupraptaha vriyatam ipsito varaha adrakshamahametatte yatsaram mahadbhutam damshabhakshita dehasya pranahyasthishu sherate. Now Brahmaji reached there and said, Uttishthottishth. Hey, Kashyapa, Kashyapa Nandana, enough of this Ghora tapas. Please get up. And from his kamandalu, he took some water and sprinkled on that Hiranyakashipu. Why? By the time that Brahmaji had reached, Damsha Bhakshita Dehasya, the body that he had maintained. Can you imagine what kind of Ghora tapas that he must have done? On his toes, not moving an inch, hands raised. And what kind of nishtha he must be having to hold that position? You stand in that Nataraja position 2 seconds and then you start dancing. A fellow standing for years at end. What kind of grip, shama, dama that you talk of. He had all of that. Intention was not pure. The understanding did not boil down to a good, clear mindset. So what happened to his body? Damsha bhakshita dehasya. The ants had eaten up all the flesh and there was only prana that was holding it. So looking at that skeletal disposition, Brahmaji sprinkled water on him. And he came back to his original form. Blessed by Brahmaji. That itself was a blessing. And looking at his body back, I said, thank you, and left. But then, when Brahmaji said, Vriyatam ipsito varaha, ask that which you have been meditating upon. Let me first revive you from this kathin tapasya. Let you have a good able body, that which you started with. May you be blessed with it. He sprinkled water. Vyavasayena tenena dushkarena manasvinam tapo nisthena bhavata jitoham ditinandana tatasta ashishah sarva dadam api asura pungava martyasya te amartyasya darshanam na phalam mama. He says, you are asking of that boon. And what are you asking? Martyasya te amartyasya. That this body has to be immortal. And that phala, I, even as Brahma, cannot give you. Na phalam mama. I cannot give you that. Ask something else. And this Hiranyakashipu, he gave a wicked laugh. How they show in movies. He gave a wicked laugh. I said, I knew you would say this. Therefore, I came prepared. I knew you would pull this one and say, as a creator, I am incapacitated to give you that boon. Therefore, I have something else from you. What is it that you want? So Hiranyakashipu now gives his alternative. And what is that alternative? That comes from the 26th shloka onwards. And the team of Brahmaji and Saptarishis is an awesome team. And what do they end up doing? That we will see tomorrow. Because if I start that and stop it in between, then to continue it again. So he'll stop at that point. Wherein now he is going to have his second tier the preparedness that he had come, knowing that Brahmaji may not be able to give him this complete boon, they said, don't worry, I have got a plan. I have got another boon. Can you fulfill that boon? What did he end up asking? What were the clauses in that? That we will see tomorrow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sureshji.
Swamiji, thank you very much. Another beautiful discourse, and we'll look forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow's session will again be at 8:30 p.m. And please, everyone, you can use this very same link. So please join us tomorrow.
8:30 p.m. EST.
That's right, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, exactly. And for the Aarti today, we have Sia will lead us to the Aarti.
Hari Om Swamiji. मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की मंगल प्रीति रीति दोन की मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की मंगल मुरली पीना धुन की मंगल आरती मंगल बनिक त्रिभंगी हरि की मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की मंगल छवि नैनन में अटकी मंगल आरती मंगल चटाफबी अंग अंग की मंगल घोर श्याम रस रंग की मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की मंगल चितवन नागर नट की मंगल आरती मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की मंगल माधुरी मृदुल बैन की मंगल वृंदावन मग अटकी मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की मंगल आरती मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की मंगल करनी भगति हरिजन की मंगल जुगल प्रिया भावन की मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की मंगल आरती मंगल आरती
Good night, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Hari Om, everyone.
Namaste.
Good night. Hari Om.